I've cleaned up the Malawi 110 head, and it came out quite nice. You know, the carbon really came out these bores nice, and it's all very good inside. But the valve guides were shot, and you sort of have to do a little bit of detective work on these engines. I think this has had some different fuel in it. Could be petrol, somebody said it's coconut oil, I don't know. But we've noticed on the head here it's melted. All four cylinders have melted, and it's not the. Some people said it was the glow plugs getting too hot, but it can't have been, because the glow plugs came out fine, and if it was too hot the glow plugs would have burnt out anyway. I don't think it's that. I think it's some different fuel. And the thing is, I was chatting to JP because I went down to see him to make some tools, because we're always making bits and pieces. Because if we look at this one, for example, the valve guides they're all gone. They're all sort of loose. And what JP, he used to build engines, you know, in his past life, and he said, yeah, no, that's got too hot, and also because it's had bad fuel in it and it's got too hot, the valves would have got really hot and expanded and worn the valve guides, and that's what's happened to this. Now we don't know, we're only sort of speculating, but we think that's the issue. So I need to it would be a good idea to change the guides, and they're not expensive to replace the guides. And the head's flat, and we've pressure tested and it's okay. Now we can see here it's had localized heat, and you know, the injectors have got 5 holes in them, and this is exactly the same pattern, if you see what I mean. There's a little bit here but not too much. I think, like I say, this will work again, because where the gasket sits, it's absolutely perfect. It's not marked at all, so we can live with that. But it's kind of interesting when I looked into how the temperature of the melting point of aluminium is 640 to 650 degrees Celsius, depending on the makeup of the aluminium. It's not exactly pure; it'll have some additives into it, but I think it'll live again. I honestly do think it'll live again. But we've got to change guides, right? So how do we do that? Well, it's kind of easy, because we like an easy life, don't we? JP told me of something that was really interesting. When he used to build heads up and like that, and he used to say he used to build eight heads a day, back in the day. Well, how do you get the guides out? Well, you could use a press, but he come up with this idea. See, your impact and zip gun called like this. He took an old shaft of mine, and he turned it down so it would fit inside the guide, and we're going to use this to knock them out. But if you noticed, I've got a regulator on here, so the pressure isn't so high. So let's do it. Let's take one out, and I'll show you how we get them out. Let's do this one here. Now obviously we've got to make sure that it's not going to bottom out. Where are we? We're here, aren't we? Alright. Now I haven't set the pressure up, so let's do this. So it's a bit more pressure. A bit more pressure. More pressure. Is it moving? How simple was that? And there's a guide out. See? That's it. Now, you're going to be asking me how you put them back in again, because if you look at the other side of the head, the guides are set at a set height because you don't want them too high. So how do we judge that? Well, we came up with another tool. This here. This slips over the top of the guide like this. Alright, so when you use this tool here in conjunction with this one, when we put the guides in, it'll do exactly the same, but it will limit it by the height here. So we can't go wrong really. So when we get the new guides, I'll show you how we fit them in, and everything should be fine. I think it's a great idea. I wish I'd known that earlier. But then we don't have to mess about measuring things and stuff like this, and then all the guides will be exactly the same. So not a problem. I think this is salvageable. It passed pressure test. As you can see inside there, it's beautiful and clean. You know, it's really nice. But you see, because this was localized. This was just localized heat here, but it hasn't warped the head. Amazing. And of course, this has been out before, because obviously somebody's put pop marks on the valves. But the thing is, if I put the new guides in and set them right, I'll take this down to my machine shop and I'll get him to touch the valves, you know, to make sure everything's right, and also to make sure that these valves are actually not bent, if you see what I mean, because he'll put them on and he'll touch them up with his machine. He's good at touching up, and then we'll put those in and they should be fine. That's a bit loose as it is, obviously, but I think we can salvage that head. Yeah, I think we'll salvage the head. Next video we'll have a look at the block.